Welcome to the Comic Sauce Podcast, where we talk comics and comics culture. I am Henry Liu, and today I'm joined by Ranier. Ranier, how's it going?
What up? What up? How's it going, Henry?
Pretty good. Today is August 18th, 2023. And again, we're going to have a pretty open conversation, free form style. Um, you and I haven't officially recapped our experiences at San Diego Comic-Con though. So maybe we can start with that and then we can just kind of open it up to open combo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um yeah, point blank, man. Rainier, how was your Comic-Con 2023?
and it's crazy that it's been weeks past now. Like we've
Yeah.
already passed the post Comic Con blues,
Yeah.
and I'm already setting my sights on Comic Con 2024.
Nice.
So yeah, man, need to revisit all the good feelings of Comic Con.
Yeah.
I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. It was
Yeah.
smooth. It was easygoing. There was just as much as excitement as I was expecting as would be for previous years. Obviously, we went into it thinking, oh man, all these panels are getting cut, all these signings are getting cut because of the writer strike. But I had a good time, man. My wife, my kids, they really enjoyed it as well. I think my kids may have enjoyed it more,
Mm,
as much, if not as much, more than I did, only because
yeah.
they are a fan of some shows that had some of their voice actors, some animated. So they're a big fan of this show called The Owl House.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did they have the voice actors there holding the panel, but they were also doing like signings and stuff. So my eldest daughter got to meet them, and yeah, she was all about it, man. She cosplayed, she built some
Yeah.
props, stood in line for the first time for a prop check. I've never cosplayed for Comic Con, so my first experience with cosplay, I was able to live vicariously through my daughter.
Oh, that's so cool. Love that. Man, that's great to hear, man. Yeah, I had a great time at Comic-Con too. And while we're on the subject of prop checks, I had kind of an interesting experience there also. So I cosplayed as the Winter Soldier this year's Comic-Con, and my son cosplayed as Thor. So we had a fun little Marvel team up, and we both did our prop checks. Simon got his Mjolnir checked, got tagged up for that. And then for me, I brought a pretty realistic looking pistol.
I saw that picture.
Yeah.
I saw that picture,
So,
and
yeah.
actually, the first thing I noticed was there was no orange tip on your gun.
Well, okay, there are a couple things going on here. There is no orange tip. And the reason for that is it's a really old toy. It's like from like the 80s or something.
Is this from the Real Guns water gun line back in like the 80s? Is that, I,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
suppose
it's
that's where it's from,
it's
is it?
it's not a water toy, but it's definitely like in the vein of like old realistic looking toy guns, something that you just don't see anymore, right?
Yeah,
So
when I
there
saw it,
is,
I thought, oh man, Henry's going full Winter
yeah,
Soldier.
yeah, like
I was like, he
exactly.
either sawed off that orange piece or he painted it.
Oh, that's a very astute congoer observation there, because it does look pretty realistic. There is no orange tip. What it has is like a little red X right in the barrel. Very hard to see. And I think it's something that like police complained about before, saying like, well, that does distinguish these toys from real guns, but it's real hard to see them. And eventually toys started to become less realistic. But this is like a relic from the past. And I was wondering if there would be any problems getting that
Yeah, I was going to
into
ask
the
you, were
convention.
you concerned like it was going to ruin your cosplay aesthetic?
Yeah, I was kind of concerned about that. And I figured if they had me put it away, or they kept it holstered or something, that no big deal. I'll just do like kind of a like a hands up fighting pose or something, right? So what happened was, yeah, the prop check guy was like, this gun looks pretty realistic. So he's like, we're gonna have you like zip tie it to your holster or like somewhere on your body where you can't draw the gun.
Oh, they wanted you to tether it.
Yeah, yeah. So I was kind of disappointed, but I'm like, I'm not gonna, argue with, Comic-Con security.
Yeah,
So
that's a move that will get your badge taken away.
yeah, well, you'll be interested to hear what I eventually did then, because I did tether it, and he was pretty official about it. He's like, he gave me the little zip tie thing, and he's like, oh, I have to watch you do it. So I ran it through my holster, zip tied it down, and once he saw that it was secure, he's like, he let me go. He did have me put the little band on it too.
Was he specific about you zip tying it, or was he proposing, hey, I'll zip tie this for you?
It seemed like he wanted me to do it. Yeah. So I think that was kind of a nice thing to do, because I think he was like, well, you can do it however you want, but he just wanted to make sure that it was secure, right? So after that, I was like, well, I guess I'll just go to plan B and I won't like hold the gun for the photos and whatnot. But I was like, I really want to hold this gun. So what I did was, like, I didn't have like any scissors on me or anything, but I just started to turn the gun, and it kept twisting it and twisting it and twisting it, and pop, the zip tie broke, and I was able to draw the gun.
You
And
did a tourniquet maneuver there with your zip tie.
exactly, yeah. So I technically violated Comic-Con protocol, I guess. But no one was harmed, no one was scared. And I did keep it holstered. I only drew it for, certain photos and stuff. So I think I think all is good.
Probably a good thing you didn't bring a bigger gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was debating a few things about, should I bring a less realistic gun, bigger gun, smaller, like I was definitely weighing these options, but that's the con life, man. These are the sorts of questions you ask yourself when you're attending a
Yeah.
convention.
Yeah. We live in a crazy age too. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, that was on my mind too. Like, there's a lot of shootings going on, and yeah, the last thing anyone needs is like some sort of scare in that department, right? So
yeah.
yeah, I was mindful of that too.
Good keeping a good social conscience there.
Yes, trying. So yeah, any last thoughts? We're like about a month removed from Comic-Con. This is, yeah, we're pretty late in the game recapping,
Yeah.
but maybe a good time to just have like our final word on SDCC 23.
Yeah. I think the consensus this year too was because there was a lot less celebrity presence, a
Yeah.
lot less like movie, theatrical, television presence, that a lot of artists got to get highlighted, especially in Artist Alley.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the consensus amongst the Artist Alley group was that this was like probably one of their best years in terms of like selling merch and activity in Artist Alley. And myself,
Yeah.
my family, and I actually, we hovered around Artist Alley actually quite a bit, and probably bought like the most original art I've ever had. I mean, I don't buy a
Mm-hmm.
ton outside of comics, but like, and by no means that I come home with a truckload of like stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but like I bought a few prints here and there, and I just realized to myself, man, I've actually never really done that in the past.
Yeah, that's cool. I
So
noticed the same thing, that Artist Alley was popping.
yeah, so it was cool to see a lot of things that are, seemingly kind of get overlooked, got to, surface to the top and get their day to shine. I think a lot of people felt like this was Comic Con of old days before, Hollywood you know, uh, provided such a big presence at Comic Con.
Yeah. Yeah, I
If
get
if
that sense too.
if anyone was going there to like, celebrity hunt for selfies and autographs, they would have been sorely disappointed.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. It was a
But
different kind of con this
yeah,
year for
but for
sure.
everything else, like, man, the excitement was all there. A lot of great, cool things to see. And it was just as crowded as, if not maybe more than any other Comic Con, especially on the exhibit floor.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we'll touch upon that a bit. Like I personally felt like the exhibit floor was pretty crazy crowded all the time, and it was tough to navigate most of SDCC. What were your experiences like with the crowds?
I did come to the realization that here's the thing, like getting there early, the thing that you're looking for, that you're going to rush for, 98% of the time, by the time you get there, the line is capped,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And what everyone wants to do is they want to line up. They want to find an organized way to say, hey, where can I go to make sure I'm in the next batch of being able to get into this line?
Yeah.
And every single volunteer is like, you just got to keep moving. You got to take a lap. Otherwise, it's a fire hazard. And it occurred to me that despite, I don't know how many thousands of people are in that entire convention floor, that if you're standing next to a line cap sign, you are suddenly a fire hazard. But you can step 10 feet away and you're no longer a fire hazard.
There you go.
But realistically, dude, that whole place is a fire hazard. If fire
Yeah.
ever broke out there, we're all screwed.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the line cap attracts more of a fire hazard than anywhere else next to it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did
you
speak
make yeah, go ahead.
I did speak to someone who they were in, I think they were in a panel, and they actually had the fire marshal come in and disperse the panel.
Oh, really?
I've been always making this comment about, like, man, I've never seen a fire marshal come through. Like, I've never seen that ever happen. And they, the volunteers constantly like express that caution. And to actually hear someone say that that had happened, I was like, whoa, that's real. Oh, and here's the weird
Mhm.
thing too. Like, I don't know if you remember, but one of the evenings there, a fire alarm actually went off. I think it might have been maybe Friday night or Thursday night.
Mm.
And so I was speaking to the person that was actually in the vicinity of where the fire alarm was actually triggered, and they were all sitting in a panel, and everyone looked at each other like, "What do we do?" And they were like, "If there's a real fire, like we should leave, but if not, I don't want to lose my seat."
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they were actually, contemplating the fact that, like, even if there was a real fire, they didn't want to lose their seat.
Yes. Yeah, man. Good stuff. I mean, you're highlighting a lot of the thoughts that happen during Comic-Con, right? Like the line capped situation. What do? Do you leave and come back later? And I think you point out a really good strategy. You kind of get just far enough away so you aren't technically a fire hazard, but close enough to jump in that line once they release the line
Yeah,
cap
yeah.
sign, right?
I mean, I've called this the circle dance. You know what's funny about that is that,
Mm-hmm.
like, you start to see more and more people catching on, and
Yeah.
as that happens, you see this, like, basically this, like, this track of almost like marathon runners running, I mean, walking in a circle,
Yeah.
so that they're still technically moving.
Yeah.
They're still adhering to the rules, but they're trying to ensure their place in line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah. And this is a big part of the fun of SDCC, right? Because
Yeah.
the whole time you're there, like strategies are going through your mind, right? That stuff you're talking about, like, should I leave, give up my seat, come back, or like, what do I do? Like those sort of questions are happening all the time. Like,
When people are
do I?
negotiating, they're negotiating getting
Mm-hmm.
stuck in a fire because they want to keep their seat.
Right.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different world. It's a whole different world. But yeah, one thought that ran through my mind in kind of a final thoughts sort of vein is, um, yeah, with the past few years, the pandemic and whatnot, um, the whole in-person event experience has been, you know, a little more few and far between, right? So I certainly have come to really love like the return of in-person events like comic conventions, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
Virtual. I
know?
mean, virtual. You can't replace that experience. There's no
Yeah.
way. You can have cameras right in front of the faces of these comic artists and celebrities, but
Yeah.
on seeing it on a screen versus like being in a sweaty pile of people in a line to like just catch a glimpse of them from like 500 feet away, it's not
Yeah.
the same.
It's totally not the same. Yeah. And like I know there have been complaints about San Diego Comic-Con over the years, and some folks are like, I'm not doing that again because I get super tired and I can't deal with the crowds, I can't deal with the lines. But man, I gotta say, like I wouldn't have it any other way,
Yeah, same man.
right?
I
Like,
totally agree with that. Like I early on, I realized, you know what? Part of what makes this miserable is also part of what makes it fun. And the
yeah,
sooner you accept that with these conventions, the easier time you'll have,
yeah,
the more
yeah,
fun you'll have.
yeah. And like, yeah, it's kind of like the difference between going to a live concert versus just like listening to a streaming service at home, right? There's no substitute for being there in person. And and you mentioned the panels, like being in person at a panel is so different than just like watching it on your computer. Completely different experience. And you're talking about supporting artists at Artist Alley. I mean, that's super cool too. I mean, I was in the Artist Alley area quite a bit also, meeting artists, talking to them, getting their stuff. And it's just a world of difference between doing that and like, I don't know, ordering some prints through the internet, completely different. And yeah, it's it's pretty magical being able to do this stuff again, because there was a while where we couldn't do this. We couldn't go to conventions in person, go to concerts, go to the movies, right? So I think it's really great that we're able to do this again. And I don't know, I think I've gotten some perspective, like being away from that for an extended period. I mean, personally, I really am appreciative that we can do it again.
100% agreed.
Right on.
Hey, so when's the next convention for you?
Well, there is the Fan Expo San Francisco happening in November, which I am planning on attending. So,
I'll see
uh,
you there.
yes. All right. And before then, we'll probably be doing a Comic-Con badge sale. Yeah. So,
Oh yeah.
right.
That's a
It,
whole other thing I don't think we've ever really talked about, huh? The badge sales.
I mean, I think we've touched upon it, but that might be a fun, like, dedicated episode, right? Just to talk about getting a badge to
Yeah, that whole
SDCC.
that's an event in itself and getting a hotel room.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So, I think we can close the book on Comic-Con 2023. Anything else on your mind, Rainier?
Hey, so I want to talk to you about video games.
Sure.
What's do you play video games much?
I do. I was quite a gamer in my younger days, and for a long time, I would probably consider myself a casual gamer. But actually, more recently, I've been gaming a lot more than years past because I got a new Xbox.
Yeah,
So the past, I don't know, 6 months or so, I've been playing a lot of video games with my son Simon, and it's been great.
nice man.
Yeah.
I've been giving video games a lot of thought lately because I'm still continuing to play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom,
Nice.
and it has reignited my interest in playing some of the older games that I have, and so I've been revisiting the Batman Arkham series, which is a
Mm,
fantastic series.
right on.
And I started to think about comic book related video games and how I feel like before when with with the robust systems that we have now with like the PS5s and the new Xboxes, like I feel like video game companies can create anything.
Hmm.
But back in the day, like video game comic book adaptations were always just crap.
Yeah.
We would probably get video games from something that might have been like movie related. But I always felt like the way they developed them were an afterthought, just something they could slap a sticker on and sell.
Yep.
Um, but man, like playing like Batman Arkham Asylum, I mean, it's a whole series: Batman Arkham Asylum, um, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, Arkham Knight. Um, really well done games. Like placing Batman in a free roaming environment where you're basically Batman, where you can either brawl like him or you can, be stealthy like him. You can do detective work just like Batman. I joked
Mm.
around with my wife before we had kids. I was like, I love this game like it were a child
Excellent.
because it's that Batman game series is just great. Um, yeah, and it's fun, man. And I started thinking back to like when games started getting really good for comic books. Like there was a Batman animated like inspired game called Batman Vengeance that came out for the PS3. And I just realized that every video game console I bought was because of a comic book related game that came out. So I bought a PS3 because of Batman Vengeance. I bought a PS4 or sorry, I think Batman. Sorry, I think I bought my PlayStation 4 because of Batman Vengeance. Or no, three. And then four was for Arkham Asylum. And I just got a PS5 to play Gotham Knights and the new there's a Miles Morales Spider-Man game that I haven't yet played. I haven't yet gotten because I'm waiting to get through Tears of the Kingdom before I play that
Hmm.
game.
Right on. Awesome, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, there's been a lot said about superhero fatigue with TV and movies, but maybe the future slash near future of comic book adaptations is gaming, right? Because no one's talking about superhero fatigue with video games, right? If anything, people are like super excited about superheroes showing up
Oh, yeah.
in new games, right? So
And like
might be something there.
even like beyond superheroes, like the latest Star Wars Jedi Survivor game, like I've heard really great things about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was actually sort of the shining piece for Star Wars Night in Disneyland. They had a limited edition Cal Kestis. He's the main character in that story,
Mm.
and they replicated the lightsaber he has in that game to a limited edition lightsaber, which is impossible to get.
Ah,
But it shows you how much video games can transcend from being something you can play to a prop they create in real life, right?
nice. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the topic of gaming because I just got a game recently. Um, this game called Stray, just released for Xbox. It's been on PlayStation for quite a while, but um, they just released it on Xbox, and I got it, and it's really great. As a cat lover, I'm completely blown away. Basically, it's like a third person adventure game where you're a cat, a very
Oh,
realistic looking cat too, and it behaves and looks like a real cat.
so it's like a cat
And
simulator.
yeah, yeah, but it's also like futuristic and has like kind of a Blade Runner vibe to it too. So it has a lot going for it. It's really cool.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard of people playing like flight simulators
Mm,
where people that aspire to be pilots or are just like pilot connoisseurs or plane connoisseurs, they'll actually log real flight time in these simulators,
Mm-hmm.
flying to different destinations
Yeah.
in the world, and pretending to be a pilot. Like, and I'm talking about like, 14 hours of gameplay, like
Yeah.
flying across the world. So I'm not surprised that they have something very similar for cats, also set in a futuristic environment.
Yeah. 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 And coming from the perspective of someone who was away from console gaming for a long time, like I'm completely blown away by like what games can do now. I'm just like I'm in amazement like all the time, picking up the controller and just like seeing what these can do because they're completely different.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, I didn't even mention that part of the Arkham series was the Batman Arkham VR. I ended up buying the PlayStation VR system just for this game.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I mentioned, like when you play the other Arkham games, like you are Batman, dude, the VR experience being Batman was insane. I remember demoing that actually at Comic Con, and I played for 10 minutes, walked away, and I'm like, I am buying that.
Yeah, it
it's
works.
it's so cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Right on, dude. All right. So, any final thoughts about anything before we wrap things up here, Ranier?
Hey, I've been meaning to ask you about this actually. Have you seen this Spider-Man Lotus fan film trailer?
No. What's that?
It's been getting quite a bit of buzz actually. I mean, it's a straight up like fan made film. I don't know if they did a full length film. I don't know if it's just a trailer. But I've been seeing it pop up here and there. I finally watched the trailer, and I think it's the story of like Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually looks pretty well done for like an amateur made trailer. And it sort of brought me back to when I originally was watching like fan made like trailers. Brought me back to this one trailer called Batman Dead End. Have you seen this
Mm-hmm.
that one?
I don't think so. That didn't sound familiar.
Okay, that came out, man, I want to say like when YouTube was like early on.
Okay.
And it looked like a pretty decently budgeted trailer where full on actors, full on makeup, you have Batman, going toe to toe with the Joker. And, as the story progresses in this trailer, a predator shows up and then an alien shows up in addition to the Joker being there. And it's just wild.
It's
And
cool.
it got me thinking about like, man, it's cool to see like fans making like their own stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to see these. You haven't seen them?
No, no. I gotta check it out. Now, I guess my question to you is if you were to create one of these, what would you make?
There was something that was teased in a fan made trailer I saw years ago where it was like the story of Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be cool to see like I'd love to see actually a Robin movie, like a
Yeah.
legit like Warner Brothers produced.
Yeah.
Same with like Nightwing and everyone else that surrounds Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be really cool. I'd love to see that made.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think we may have touched upon this before, but it's pretty shocking that there hasn't been a Robin movie or show
Well,
or
there's
much of
Titans.
anything.
They do have
There
Titans.
is that, but I mean, that's a
Right.
team, right? I'm talking
Right.
about like a solo thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There really hasn't.
No, not yet.
Not yet. You figure someone's got that in the works
Yeah.
somewhere. We'll see.
Someone's drumming up. It's in James Gunn's back pocket. I'm sure of it.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, are you
Yeah.
are you gonna watch the Blue Beetle movie that just came out today?
I do want to. And in fact, um, my son and I were thinking of going to go see a movie tomorrow. Um, we might see that. We might see the Ninja Turtles movie, which I'm hearing a lot of
Dude,
great
I really
things
want to see
about.
that movie too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jumping back to Comic Con. I got to meet Kevin
Mhm.
Eastman at
Yeah.
Comic Con, and man, being a fan of Ninja Turtles since I was a kid, I want to say that's like one like next to Transformers and GI Joe, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was like a big part of like my childhood, like
Sure.
drawing them, reading the comics, and like recreating and making my own comics of Ninja Turtles, and actually meeting him and getting a sketch done by him. It was pretty surreal.
That's awesome, dude. Man. Yeah, I remember seeing you post that. That's so cool. All right. So, yeah, we'll see. Actually, with our podcast co-hosts Christian and Porfirio, we were planning on doing a Blue Beetle recap, but we'll see. We might do Ninja Turtles instead or in addition to. So TBD. We'll see.
Yeah. I think we're catching it tomorrow. We were gonna catch it today. I'm actually wearing a shirt from the movie.
Oh shit, nice.
But it wasn't in the cards today, so we're watching it tomorrow.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, I'm hearing some good buzz so far. So
Yeah, can't wait.
yeah, right on. Okay. With that, we can wrap up the episode. This is farewell from Henry and Ranier.